domestic economy. Let me have the pleasure of inviting and introducing CA.Ganesh Balakrishnan ji. He has been a partner with Deloitte Haskins and Sells LLP. He's also served as a member of the Auditing and Assurance Board of ICAI for the year 2010-11. He's a well-known industry personality, a very dynamic speaker, a most sought-after speaker in several contexts, and has been a regular guest lecturer at educational institutions and business seminars. Without further ado, let's hear from Shri Ganesh Balakrishnan on the theme of today, which is about understanding better financial planning during these pandemic times. Specifically, sir, if you could talk about things that will help the national economy. Over to you, sir.
Namaste, and I hope everyone is doing well and safe. And I think this is a very challenging times for all of us. We are all struggling to meet both the ends. Everyone is talking remotely. Even today, the session is being conducted virtually. I think this is the biggest learning one should pick it up from where we are today. Everybody talks about personal finance. In fact, when Anirban talked to me about, why don't you talk about what can contribute to the nation? One thing which struck me now, nothing more. Do not visit hospitals. Healthcare, the mental frame of our mind is where our investment should go. And today, if we need to contribute to our country, to our nation, the first thing is do not overstrain the system if you are in a position to manage from home. I think that's the number one which comes into my mind. Number two, which is very important, is when someone is not well at home and when somebody is not well in the family or in the neighborhood, the question of finances do not really come up to us. The question of the well-being comes into us. So for us, we need to start with today is our well-being. If our physically and mentally fit, all the finances that you have will be converted into a gold mine. And that is what would contribute to the nation. Today, is as much as the nation is looking at us, as much as we are looking at the nation to help us, whether during whatever the shortages that we have, from a perspective of to look at it, if we can contribute to follow what the government would need. Today, if you see the central government, unlike in the past of 2020, did not announce any lockdown because there was heartburn when you looked at the lockdown the last year to current year. And that really impacted the economy, that really impacted where the government had to do a lot of incentives to people. There was no food, there was nothing which was there, everything had to be contributed. Where do we get this money from? Where does the government get money from? The government gets money from the taxes that it earns, the bonds that it sells, the investments that you make it towards your provident fund, your because whatever you call it as national savings certificate, or even to the extent of the farmers Kisan Vikas Patra, whatever those things which are there. That's where when you start investing, it does not pay you return. In fact, when you talk about return, today fixed deposits does not earn you any interest. It's gone. No longer it is where you can say, I can go and place my deposit, I'll earn 10%, after this for my retirement. Today, the whole financial modeling is undergone change. No longer, earlier life, say, if you went to an insurance product, the insurance product was more determined from, and like an LIC, that after you're dead, your family will be taken care. Today, insurance is driven like an investment for your own health, welfare, well-being. Let me give you an example which I've recently noted. There was a family which did not have any insurance, did not have any. Was working in some of the family members working in a private sector. Suddenly, because of this pandemic, one of the family members was impacted. They did not have insurance. They had to sell off all their personal belongings, whatever they're holding, so that they can meet the expenditure. And the expenditure was about 2 million rupees, about 22 lakhs rupees. Think through this. Today, the first thing that you should look at it is invest in yourself. What is that you will invest? Good health. Second, invest in those which are called the term insurance. It has to protect you. You cannot be expecting a government to provide you everything because we are dealing with 1.3 billion people. It's humanly not possible. Today, we do not have a system which can provide you social security like the erstwhile, if you were to take a US government, a federal government that provides you, or a UK government. We have to invest in this. During pandemic, do not invest or buy things which are not required. Go and look at inventory of your house and see what are the products that you've bought and what is the utility. The biggest saving for all of us is if we can cut down the expenditure. Because if you, as much as many companies, when they look at it, how to increase the profitability, they first look at the expenditure. They don't reduce the revenue. They look at the expenditure. Similarly, for all of us, we have to look at those expenditure which can be deferred. Take an example today, a marriage, if you have to conduct a marriage, the same 5,000, 2,000, 3,000 now got reduced today by the latest one to 40 people. That itself is a saving which you can think through it. You don't require to go and show your status saying that I'm putting it this. The other aspect which is really very important for all of us is we have to spread our whatever we earn. Let's say we earn $100. We have to keep 30 does not belong to us. The beautiful part about our Indian government is the Provident Fund. Not many of us do not realize that this Provident Fund of 12%, almost 24% goes and sits and comes at the time of retirement, which without our own knowledge, it's saved on behalf of us by the government, by the government scheme. Invest in that. Think that that is not your money. Even what you get, take 30% off. And let me tell you about the millennials which I've got. The millennials is something which is very important. Today, what happens is the parents have actually gone ahead and started investing and making sure everything is secure. But what is missing is they've not taught them what is saving. And the biggest challenge why US economies have got a problem of debt is because majority of the American citizens live on debt, if you really were to take a comparison. Unlike in India, we actually have the habit of saving. You take in a family, the mother will keep some money, right, in some box or something. Similarly, we need to develop the habit of saving. And saving where? Don't park everything in one particular investment. So whether it should be in a bank or it should be in own investment or should it be in shares, like that. Don't do it. Spread based upon the risk. Today, if suppose somebody to ask you what will happen between now to next 2 years, what does happen to you? You do not know. You do not. When there is uncertainty, you need to protect yourself. When you need to protect yourself, look at your finances first. The finances is what is my income and what is my expenditure. From that expenditure, you should have, let's say there is a particular amount of saving. Go and invest in AAA bonds or investment in sovereign, because that protects your capital. Today, the problem is the capital erosion. Somebody might say, why don't you invest in equity? That's absolutely right. But when do you invest in equity? If you have an understanding of the equity market, then you can invest equity. Or you can invest in a systematic investment fund called the SIPs, which can give you an assured income. Or you can invest in a mutual fund. But all of these, without understanding, do not invest. Do not go by here and say, study and then invest. And I think why this is important is, as much as Anirban said, if I take and put all the money in gold, buy gold and I keep it, does it earn income? Does it have utility? We have obsession for yellow metal, but it does not earn us any return. But if I take something like this, okay, I find that I want to create employment. Why don't you buy a 1 acre, a half acre, whatever it is of land and ask somebody to do agriculture? Two things can happen. You are a person who is an entrepreneur. You're not dependent upon people to provide you subsidy. You can afford to do it. You can provide employment. 3, you can generate income. Look at this, because today it is not farming community which only do farming. No, we as individual, if we have disposable income, start thinking about creating jobs. That's very, very important. The other aspect which is very important is, don't think that I will donate only to X or Y or Z. No, I'm saying start with your community. How does a community start? You can take in an area of what, let's say 1 to 2 kilometers and say, let me take care of this community. Because today when there is a lockdown, when a lot of people are suffering, when a lot of people are outside without jobs, do not think whether that person is useful or useless. That's not the objective. Whether you are serving the mankind, that is important. If you can create this, what is called helping hands, and helping hands, you don't have to wait to get a tax deduction because I'm going to get a tax deduction, therefore I'm going to opt for it. No, I'm going to tell you that if Sharath will talk to you that going forward, there are no tax deductions that are available. All will be eliminated. If everything is income tax and that's it. When that being the case, when you take something and go help people, the amount of satisfaction that you will get is far greater the amount of satisfaction that you would have get by hosting somebody with 1,000 or 2,000 people who's going to curse you, saying that at your level you're not been able to do it. Next, when you look at some of these schemes which the government is running, do not look at whether I've contributed to PM's Care Fund or Chief Minister's Relief Fund or some donation. Don't ever question. Your ability is only to contribute. Your ability is not to question that I have paid him 1,000 rupees. Why has he not provided a road? Why has he not provided it? Our objective is, when in a pandemic, what happens is everybody suffers. Country is the biggest sufferer. Let me tell you one thing. Today, people like us can afford a home, can have 3 courses of meals. But how many such people can do it? Who provides for it? It has to be in some form of the government. Now, for the government, it's an expenditure. There is no income which is generated. When do you generate income? Only when the businesses run. And if you look at today's businesses, restaurant business is out, airlines business is out, tourist business is out. Just you can go on naming. Now, there are no businesses. Imagine the amount of workforce which was there do not have income. They are dependent on somebody else. And that is the biggest root cause of today's unemployment. Today, even this pandemic, we have got 7.7 million of unemployment. And equivalent of that, just imagine earlier, we used to have IT companies. We used to say IT companies generate employment. IT companies generate not only employment directly to the people, but indirectly cars, buses, canteen, all supporting services who are there. All of them are without jobs. Now think through this. Can a country afford this? The answer is no. Can you help a government? Can you contribute? The answer is yes. You don't believe that I don't want to contribute to a care fund or something, but take this money. See people who are starving. See people who do not have homes. See people who can. So if you can contribute to that, that contribution will help indirectly the nation. The other thing which you'd always remember is invest in real estate. Believe in Mother Earth. It will never ditch you. Let there be earthquakes. The Mother Earth remains. In your potential, don't borrow funds. But today, if you see the analysis, last year, almost 60% borrowed funds to meet their own expenditure, 60%. That means I did not buy a property. I took loan because I had taken borrowed loan from my friends or somebody to repay it. So therefore, a loan which came here given to somebody without earning interest. Same loan if I had taken and put it in infrastructure that would earn to the government in the form of taxes, that would earn to you in the form of rent, that also will give you a capital which will have an appreciation. So look through that product. As an individual, you are not born rich. If you are born rich, you don't have to talk about personal finances. Only when you are so-called in the class called the middle class, that is where you start thinking through, how do I plan? What should I do? Get a skill. I'm telling you, one of the biggest things which you should do is don't wait. If you lose a job, invest yourself in another skill. Look for which are the ones which is going to be future. IT will be the future. Invest in that. Don't go to that IT where everybody is going to do. No, look at that which you can adapt as a part of the skill. Foremost important thing for us is, as much as investment is in a I would say in a stock or in a real estate, investment should also be in upbringing or upskilling yourself in education. Education is the biggest thing that you can do. What you earn, what you learn today can make you earn tomorrow, not in India, but you can use with your IT technology, you could use your skill to sell it somewhere else. And that is the biggest strength. And today, what I would say is help your nearby traders. Do not go and bargain with them. I mean, one of the things which I request, let him charge 20 bucks more, but paying that 20 bucks because he's fighting against a pandemic as much as you are sitting at home and doing a steaming and then coming back. But that man sits there throughout to sell. Help that person. If you help them, if there is happiness in your neighborhood, there is happiness in your home. No longer this pandemic differentiates between one who has got haves and have nots. It has hit all of us at the same level, whether you are staying in a very rich 10 crores building or you're staying in a 100 rupees hut. It has hit everybody because this pandemic has changed the whole topography of our business. Other thing which is very important is to be rich is very important, but to be wealthy is what is where time talks to you. Invest to be wealthy. Wealthy should be not only in the terms of money, but wealth should be in terms of your wisdom. Wealth should be in the terms of helping others, supporting mankind. Wealth should be in such way that you do not question what you have contributed, but contribute without even expecting anything from the other person. Only when you do it, you will have a selfless person, a selfless individual, and that will what will contribute to this nation. If we want nation to be successful, we have to play a part. That's called nation building. We can sit and question. That is only for the people who are sitting in that what is called the yellow journalism. We can sit and do it. For us, contribute, stand by with the government. You can dispute him in the vote bank, but when it comes to elections. But today we need to stay united. We need to help each one of us to be upfront and make sure there is well-being across. Only when there's well-being, all this money matters to personal finances. Thank you, Anirban, and over to you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Ganesh ji. That was really a very informative address. And I'm sure all our audience at USTSAHIN and everyone else will take a few cues on staying self-satisfactory, on enabling contribution to the local ecosystem, on ensuring that they diversify their investments across multiple products, and they continuously educate themselves, and most importantly, stay healthy and stay safe. I think with that, we'll go to our second speaker of the day,